You all are playing such a critical role in shaping history tonight. And I couldn't be more proud of the moment we have built together. Through the power of our vote in Texas, we have already changed the electoral map.
After tonight, no one will ever question
that Texas is the biggest battleground state in the country. Texas Democrats have gone all in like we never have before, because this is the fight over who will write the rules and decide how our communities are treated. We saw women and Black voters turn out at record-breaking levels, cementing our voting power in Texas and across the nation. Young voters have showed up and they demanded their voices be heard. When we win, we will bring much needed progress to our home state. We will create good paying jobs, invest in our public school system, expand access to affordable health care, and fight for racial justice. We will elect leaders with the character and the integrity to inch us closer to the American promise. The late, great Barbara Jordan, one of the leaders who catapulted Texas politics onto the national stage, gave one of the greatest speeches in American political history during the 1976 Democratic National Convention. She asked a roaring crowd during her historic address, what is it about the Democratic Party that makes it the instrument people use when they search for ways to shape their future? There's no single right answer, nor is there a one-liner that could adequately sum it up. In the face of overwhelming adversity, I've asked myself the same question. I ask myself this question now. We will win tonight because we have to win. We built the systems and the infrastructure that have the power to shape the political future of our state. And our historic turnout numbers have already redefined the political trajectory of our entire nation. We have to put an end to this horrific chapter in American history. And when we look back at this election, the most important of our lifetimes, we will recognize the leaders who fought for their communities, the activists who unified the masses, and the voters who showed up on election day. When we turn Texas blue and elect Democrats up and down the ballot, we will further our mission of guaranteeing justice for all. This is our moment, Texans. This is our moment for our nation. Thank you to everyone joining us on this historic night. Because of you, we're going to make history tonight. And believe me, I can't wait. And I certainly can't wait to do it with you.
Thank you, Dr. Good evening, Texas Democrats. I'm so excited to be with you this evening on election night in the biggest battleground state in the country. As you know, no matter what happens tonight, one outcome is already clear. After tonight, the electoral map has permanently changed. The nation now knows that Texas truly is the biggest battleground state in the country. We are living through a historic night, but Texans have been making history for weeks now. Throughout the defining election of our lifetimes, we led the nation in early voting numbers. Before election day even arrived, we smashed every Texas voting record and caught the world's attention. This is 2020. Everything is on the line, and Texans chose to show up. It's been a long, dark, painful 4 years for every single one of us. At times, it felt like tonight would never come, but we weathered the storm, and standing shoulder to shoulder, we fought for a new Texas. I don't have to tell you what the stakes are. All of us know what we've been through, and we can't go through it anymore. But what makes me so proud is in the face of all of it, we had a choice. We could have believed those who doubted us and assumed that the outcome was out of our hands, but instead we chose to fight. We threw every shred of our energy and every scrap of determination into winning Texas and saving the country. This is honorable. This took guts and more than a little stubbornness. Over the course of the election cycle, we've shared our vision of how we hope to make the world a better place. We've laid out our plans and all our work that lies before our party and the path towards this moment. We've set some hopeful goals and we've challenged ourselves to fight. Thank you for fighting the way you have, whether it's been for the past few weeks or the past few decades. I want you to know that your chair and your party are deeply grateful and proud to be with you. Although we are not in person, I can feel that right now at this moment, we are all together to watch those results come in.
Texas is the biggest battleground state.
And in 2020,
we have the opportunity to turn our state blue
up and down the ballot.
We have the opportunity to expand access to affordable health care, finance our public schools, strengthen our economy, and take meaningful action on gun violence. There's so much more in the United States Senate.
We have the opportunity to pave the way towards a more sustainable future at the Texas Railroad Commission.
We have the opportunity
to elect judges
and the justices
who will restore fairness, equality,
and balance
in our courts.
We have the opportunity to shape the political future of Texas
and repair the broken systems that disenfranchise working families in our great state.
We have the opportunity to ensure that Texans in positions of power
embrace empathy,
open minds,
and swing open the doors of possibility.
By working together
and uniting behind our shared vision of a more inclusive world,
we will win back our state.
We will win because we have to.
We have to put an end to the hate, the lack of access, and the suffering.
We have to deliver on the fair shot that every Texan deserves.
Our cause,
our movement,
is about the restoration of justice and the expansion of opportunity.
None of this can be accomplished unless we work together.
In order to bring lasting change to Texas,
we must work alongside every down ballot candidate, every activist, and every Texas Democrat to continue building the largest democratic movement our state has ever seen.
We're asking you to be a part of this historic fight.
Together, we will create a Texas that we can all believe and thrive in.
Together, we will save Texas and in turn, save the entire country.
Join us.
Join us.
She won. Israel, we're ready whenever you are.
Well, hey, hello everybody. This is Sadia Israel. I'm in North Austin tonight, watching the returns like you all are, and anxious and nervous at the same time. We're just getting early vote results, and we want to make a statement about tonight about with all of this record turnout. Like many of you, we've seen Texas be at the bottom of the barrel when it comes to voting, and to know that so many of our counties are already hitting 60+% turnout before election day is exciting. It makes me feel proud to be a Texan tonight. So we're looking forward to seeing the final tallies and making a statement for that mainstream voice in Texas who is yearning to be heard. So up and down the ballot, we have a diverse slate of candidates that have been working hard to get out the vote. It's my firm belief this was not an anti-Trump campaign that a lot of our state house candidates were running. They were running a pro-Texas campaign. So a lot of numbers still need to come in, but excited for the opportunity with all of this turnout, with record numbers of women and younger people, many of them casting their vote for the first time. We're excited to make history still tonight.
And for
everybody, it's MJ Hagar. I am so excited. Things are going so awesome. There are so many people still in line. Listen, if you are in line, stay in line. If you have any problems, contact the voter hotline. This is going to be a close election. Really excited about the grassroots momentum across the state. The people, a lot of first-time voters, a lot of people who are reporting, that they understand how important their vote is. I keep telling everybody, if your one vote wasn't so important, they wouldn't be working so hard to suppress it, y'all. So don't let them silence you. Make sure you stay in line, hang in there, and y'all, the real work starts tomorrow. No matter what happens tonight, the real work starts tomorrow. I think that we're gonna have victories up and down the ballot to be celebrating. And then we've got a window in which we have an opportunity to deliver real servant leadership to Texas, where we have an opportunity to show people job growth, to handle this pandemic and get it under control, to minimize the economic impact and get small businesses the support they need and the regular working Texans, to get access to healthcare to everyone, comprehensive immigration reform. I am so optimistic about the world that we are walking into right now, you guys. If you're in line, stay in line. But if you're stressed out right now, don't be. Take a breath. America has faced challenges before, bigger than this one. I know it doesn't feel like that, but we have. We rise to the challenge. We meet that challenge. We maintain our status as the leaders of the free world, and we raise the next generation behind us to continue the fight. So hang in there. Make sure your voice is heard, and thank you so much.
I'm Cliff Walker, Deputy Executive Director of the Texas Democratic Party. Well, this is one of the most ambitious programs that I've seen us undertake here at the Texas Democratic Party, and it's a crucial one. We talk frequently about winning at the presidential level, delivering 38 electoral votes for Joe Biden, But at the same time, we have a U.S. Senate seat that we can pick up here. We have a congressional majority that we can expand. And we have a state house that we're going to flip. Plus, we have local elections to win up and down the ballot. And in order to do that, we need strong voter turnout, and particularly among some of our core voters, our base voters. And the backbone of our party are Black voters. And it's up to us to reach out and speak to those voters, to engage, helping folks register their families, helping people sign up to vote by mail, and helping them buy into this opportunity to volunteer themselves and make sure that we win up and down the ballot in Texas in 2020. So the first thing that we need to do to empower Black voters is to start the conversation. We have to engage. Starting in October to do our base outreach is just too late. Black voters are not just voters to push to the polls, to knock and drag in the final weeks of the campaign. We're a crucial part, not just of the voter base, but should be of the campaigns themselves. One thing that we're seeing in 2020 that's a little different than in other cycles is the importance of relational organizing. Even we had our own plans to do something comparable to this. You have a bunch of people going out into the neighborhoods, knocking on the doors, having those face-to-face, in-person conversations. But as our coordinated campaign director often says, and makes me chuckle, we probably not gonna be able to assemble a team to have people expel vapors at each other. It's just not safe and it's not ethical. So the way that we will build those relationships is relying on the relationships that already exist, on the networks that exist. It's one thing for them to hear from party activist or a candidate, and that is important, and we need to have those conversations. But where those can lead is conversations within networks themselves, and those are going to be even higher impact. One thing that I've learned in my 15 years of doing politics in this state is that it's too darn big to do it all by yourself. You need strong partnerships. When the chair of the Coalition of Black Democrats reached out and said, what can we be doing together to connect more with the Black community? When that led to a conversation with Beto O'Rourke and the leadership at Powered by People, and this idea came about, there was an immediate reaction of, absolutely, let's do it. I think what we're gonna learn internally and really viscerally feel is our power and our ability to execute on a big project, and to be able to do that with partners like the Coalition and Power together, we're able to accomplish big things, which is a great way to really kick off a lot of campaign activity that we're going to experience in the next 3 months.
Every Marine knows the saying from the Battle of Belleau Wood. Retreat, hell! We just got here. 1,800 sacrificed their lives. But when Donald Trump was asked to pay his respects, he said, "Why should I go to that cemetery? It's filled with losers." Surprised? Trump attacked John McCain, tortured for years, as a loser who is not a war hero. Now as president, Trump looked at Arlington Cemetery and asked, "I don't get it. What was in it for them?" For them, they swore an oath to protect our country. They made the ultimate sacrifice. Donald Trump inherited everything, sacrificed nothing, scoffs at the valor of those who gave it all for America. The time for change is now.
I'm Joe Biden, and I approve this message.
Krista Castañeda here, the Democratic nominee for Railroad Commission. I am so pleased to be with all of you tonight, and we're so excited to be getting the results and, really grateful to every voter who voted and can't wait to see how this turns out. I am here to answer any questions you all might have, but let me just say we sensed incredible enthusiasm throughout the campaign. People were texting and calling and phone banking and, letting me know how much they supported a change at the Texas Railroad Commission. And so we're very excited about that. Great. I tell you, we have done everything that we could have done to get the word out about why the Railroad Commission race is the most important environmental race in the nation this cycle, and why it's so vitally important that we have change at the Texas Railroad Commission. We one second, technical problems again here. There we go. We were able to raise more money than any Democratic Railroad Commissioner has raised, I believe, ever. And we outspent Jim Wright and outraised Jim Wright by a factor of 10. We were talking to the voters about how incredibly important this was. We believe the voters are responding. And we believe that the environmental message and the strong climate message are going to move a lot of voters. Now, obviously, we still have to wait for all of the votes to be counted, but we're very excited to have done as well as we did in this election cycle in a fairly obscure race, getting the word out. I think more Texans know about what the Railroad Commission is as a result of this election than ever before, and that makes me proud.
Great. Next question is, what are the margins that you need to get in the big cities to be able to win this race?
Yeah, that's a great question. I wish I had a ready answer for you. Obviously, we want to run up the score in the big blue counties and the surrounding counties, but so much depends on turnout, overall turnout. So encouraged by the incredible turnout. I think I saw that Travis was heading for an 85% turnout, and they've got a 97% registration rate. So that is huge, and we know those voters vote Democrat. So like you all, we're sitting waiting for the results and are super excited about what we're seeing so far.
For any other questions for Krista Castañeda, please type them in the question box. We'll get to these questions on a first come, first served basis.
looks like I'm on an autopilot to get elected to my 10th term in the Texas House. So I'm really looking forward to that. That's 20 years. And I'm eager to see the voter turnout throughout the state, what we're looking at. I see some things that are pretty exciting. I know it's still early, but obviously pretty excited to see the momentum that we have in Dallas County. Looks like we are on track to pick up a new seat in Harris County by looking at the early vote numbers, very encouraging. And it looks like we're very much in the hunt in Collin County. So I think, there are a lot of votes left to count at this point, but I like what I see, and I think it's really very important to acknowledge, really the unsung heroes in this election tonight. I mean, folks try to make this, this night about the politicians and the elected officials. It really should be about the voters who have really, overcome in some instances, some dramatic obstacles to get to the ballot box. And I think we've always said from the very beginning that when people vote, democracy wins. And so I think that's what we're seeing tonight. But a lot of votes left to count, definitely trending in the right direction in some counties. And we certainly, are looking forward to seeing what Election Day is going to bring to some other areas where we have been concentrating our efforts. And so, Avi, I think that's really all I have. If somebody has any questions, be happy to try to respond to them.
Yeah, if you have any questions, type them into the question box, and Representative Martinez Fisher will answer them on a first-come, first-served basis.
So I won't answer any questions from Bob Garrett. That's just a personal thing, but Just wanted to see your face, big guy.
First question is, so early returns show very tight state house races, especially in Harris County and in Tarrant County. Do you think that we did enough to put it over the top?
Well, look, I mean, every race is competitive, right? I mean, campaigns are about turning out votes, and that requires energy and resources and good candidates. And so the notion that we would be competing in places like Tarrant County, I think you just have to take a step back and imagine that for a moment of how much this state has changed in a few election cycles. In one presidential term, Tarrant County is in play, split right down the middle in the presidential races. There are a couple of races that we were looking at that were very much in the hunt, and there are lots of votes to be counted. So look, I think that every candidate did a great job. Resources were plentiful. The environment is not a perfect environment campaigning in the middle of a pandemic, but I think all of our candidates found a way to connect with voters. And so this is going to come down to the ultimate precinct, looking at those return ballots, looking at those overseas military ballots that are coming in, looking at those mail ballots that are still matriculating in the system. There are some very tight races, and I don't think at any point did anybody say we were just going to sort of dance our way through the general election. I mean, these are going to be some straight up knife fights in some very competitive districts, and that's what we're seeing tonight.
Bob Garrett actually asks, you mentioned a pickup in Harris. Which one? Bohawk, Sarah Davis?
And I'm just looking at early votes, Bob. So obviously I don't have the crystal ball, but I'm looking at the Ann Johnson, Sarah Davis race. That is a race where traditionally Democrats have always run behind the turnout curve there because, folks like Sarah Davis had wonderful appeal with some of her positions that were more moderate, really attract a lot of independent voters. A lot of Democratic women would cross over and support her. And so Democrats always had to run uphill in that area. And to see Ann Johnson just right out of the chute with early vote numbers very promising, I hope that the trajectory continues. It looks like we may have a new member from the River Oaks area.
Representative Martinez Fisher, thank you very much for joining us.
You have a good night.
My name is Sarita Fontanesi. I'm the Black constituency organizer with the Texas Democrat. And I am here with my good friend, James. You might know him from Texas Tea. And I will let him introduce himself.
Hey everybody, my name is James. I'm the brand partnership coordinator for the Texas Democratic Party. I'm so excited to have this time with all you tonight. We're going to be able to have some fun conversations. We're going to be here to get you through this intense night. And also, we're here to have some fun.
Yes, I am so incredibly excited and proud of all of the work that everyone has been doing. I want to say that first and foremost. Texas, we are big and we're doing everything big, and everyone's turning out in record numbers, which is truly amazing. James, when did you vote?
So I voted on the second day of early vote. And it was so convenient because I headed over to our website, the mytexasvotes.com, and I found out there was a voting location 0.3 miles away from my apartment. So in the morning, my two roommates and I, we got up, we put our blue in, and we were like, all right, we're ready to do this. We made sure we had our IDs, and then we walked all over together, and we waited in line and voted, the three of us. And it was really such a fun, relieving moment. It's so great to vote for Democrats up and down the ticket. I personally had the honor of voting for Wendy Davis in this election. And I was so excited to do that. I've been such a big fan of hers, for so many years now. And it was so cool to be able to use my voice, not only in Texas, but, locally as well. And it was just such an honor. But how about you? When did you vote this year?
Yeah, that's amazing that you were able to walk. I was excited that my polling place was under a mile, but I still got in my car because it was like a 5-minute drive. But I voted during the second week of early voting. But yeah, similarly, I went over to My Texas Votes. I put in my address. Like I said, I was super excited to see that it was less than a mile away. Went over to my polling place, and this was my first time voting in person. The last few elections, I was registered in a different state and living somewhere else and all over the place and moving. So I've always voted by mail. And then I was in college, so I've always voted by mail. So this was like my first time actually getting the ballot and putting it in the machine. The woman really had to show me how to do it because I was convinced I was going to do it wrong. Turns out it's just as easy as they say it is. I was just nervous. But yeah, I was excited. I got to vote for awesome folks like Representative Cheryl Cole, Julie Oliver, and so many other amazing Democrats up and down the ballot. It's always exciting to see so many women on the ballot. Texas is really changing, and we're showing folks what Texas really is, instead of what people have maybe forced us to be, and love that so many women are at the helm of that. But yeah, so I voted. I was in and out 20 minutes. My husband and I voted, and then we're here in Austin. We took our I voted sticker over to Home Slice. Got a free slice of pizza, a little margarita to celebrate. We got to sit outside and feel a little bit normal for a minute. And cheers to our voting.
Oh, absolutely. So similarly, I went to the Lime Hotel and used my voting sticker for $1 cocktail, and literally the most delicious garlic bread I've ever had in my entire life. And who knew the perks of voting? Not only did I get to voice my opinion about what I want to see Texas's future, what I want to see the country's future, what I want to see in my town's future, I got garlic bread out of it too.
Yeah, I mean, I got to make all of these really big, important decisions on my ballot, and then pizza. I can't be mad at free pizza.
No, you really cannot beat that. And I think pizza also is so good for the time of the year. Honestly, I've already ordered a pizza for tonight, and I already have dipped into it because it feels, we're kind of this is a perfect pizza night to be able to watch the results, to be able to be with my roommates and friends, and really get to see what our work has been in Texas showing up on the national scale. And I just think it's so cool to show the work that every Democrat in Texas has been doing really is being shown, that it's not gone unnoticed. It's us talking to our neighbors. It's us getting into our communities that really have made people realize Texas is is in play, and Texas is ready to see the change it wants to actually represent the people that it has living in it. And as a Texan, I'm pretty sure we both grew up in Texas. It is so cool to see that. And we do a little bit of a riff because I'm actually from Dallas. I believe you're from Houston, right?
Oh, yes. H-Town's finest. You know, the Dallas-Houston debate is real. I have an aunt and uncle in Dallas, and the rest of my family's in Houston. And whenever my Dallas family would come to visit, because most of us were in Houston, so we were like, we're not going to Dallas. It's just, we can't do it. But whenever my Dallas family would come to Houston, they would always talk about how great Dallas was. And I remember being a kid and being like, whoa, this Dallas place sounds amazing. And I mean, Dallas is pretty fun. I have to give it to y'all. But like truly, because they would like talk it up so much to like compete with like the rest of our family in Houston, I was like, Dallas must just be this magical land where everything is perfect and amazing. So that was always like a fun thing with family. And it's interesting. It's funny that you mentioned like tonight being like the perfect like pizza night to really like bring everything together and like the culmination of all this work that we've all been doing. And last night was my pizza night. Definitely ordered Domino's and got some garlic bread because I was like, look, what is now today is going to be a long day. We're all going to be anxious and nervous maybe, and just waiting for results to come in. So I was like, I'm going to set myself up for success and like do some self-care and like just prepare for tomorrow, like mentally. So like ordered pizza, watched like a spooky movie, and like, you know, just really I took a bath and a face mask, like just really let myself like relax, get a good night's sleep. And so then I woke up this morning and I was like, oh, I'm way less stressed than I was in 2016. Like, I think 2016, I stayed awake for like 3 days, just like, what's going to happen? What's going on? But I was like, oh, like I'm refreshed. I'm rejuvenated. I'm ready for the day. I even helped with like a text bank for a little bit. Like, have you been like prepping, taking care of yourself?
Oh, absolutely. You know, I think one nice thing about this election especially is it wasn't a surprise when it was coming. You know, we knew what day it was coming in. I've been counting down for essentially 4 years now to get ready for today. And I think it was so important that I, you know, was sleeping up for like the week. I wasn't trying to stay up late at all. I also made sure my room was clean, you know, because we're actually in my bedroom right now, which is also my full-time office, as we all, you know, are doing. But I was like, okay, I gotta have clean. So I swept my floors and everything. And it was really, I think, good for me to wake up and be like, all right, we're ready to hit the grindstone. I made some amazing phone calls today to people that were getting out the vote on election day, which is so cool to see. And I'm so happy about the people that stayed in line tonight, the people that really made sure their voice was heard. And it's so cool to have Texas motivated. I don't know for you, but like, I feel like Texas is finally looking like the place that I grew up in, which I grew up in such a diverse area. The food alone, and I think this is another Dallas-Houston debate.
Yes.
And I'll give Houston cred. They've got some amazing cuisine, but Dallas is coming for you. And you guys better not just be okay with the lovely red because we're fresh. You know, we got a lot of people moving in. Toyota's there now. Like, it's going to happen. So, but
oh, go ahead.
Oh, I was just saying, so like, I'm so glad that like Texas Electric is starting to look like the place I grew up in. And it's so cool. And I think you can just look at the cuisines and see the diversity and the amazingness that Texas has to offer for everybody.
Yeah, 1,000%. I was just going to say, you know, because Texas is so big, there are like almost like little, you know, little pockets all over. And the fun part and probably the upside to these like city competitions is like we all just get to shine and do our best. Like, who doesn't want the food to keep getting better, right? And you're totally right. I think the state and the electorate and the people that we're voting for are finally looking like the people who are voting, right? You know, our elected officials are supposed to represent us and supposed to, you know, really work for us. And I think we're really getting to a place where people are feeling like their voice is heard and that the elected officials know that like it's the community that holds them accountable and they take that seriously, which is really, really incredible. Like it's been so exciting to hear from family that they're really excited about voting. Like they're usually regular voters, but they're sort of like, ugh, I gotta get in line and do the thing. But like, they've been so jazzed and excited this year. And like, my sister took my nephew with her. He's 5. Actually, he just turned 6 this weekend. Excuse me. Sorry, Scotty. But she like brought him with her so that he could like see like, this is what we do. Like we vote and it's important and it's a big deal, which I think is just really incredible because like, the sooner we start telling folks about how things work and the sooner that we start to include people in the conversation, like the richer and more diverse it is and the better that we can actually support everyone in our community, which is pretty incredible.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, similar on my side, I could not believe how early my entire family had voted. Like all suddenly, I was like worried I was gonna have to get on them. I was like, hey guys, like early vote's going. Like I wanted my parents to early vote. And they were like, oh, we're going tomorrow. Like we got no problem. And my dad is like a hardcore like election day voter. He went on the second Monday of the second week. And it was so cool to see people using the resources that Texas have given to them. I sent them to my Texas Vote so they could all find their polling location. And similar to you, my 2 little nephews got brought to the polls as well with my brother and his wife. And it's so important and so beautiful to see that Texas is really starting to be the voting state that it always should have been. And I also think this is really seen in like the people running for the US House in Texas. Like this year, we had such amazing candidates that were on our ballots beyond the top of the ticket. And I luckily got to interview a couple of them during my time, like with the Texas Democrats. And their stories were so powerful and just so unique to the Texas electorate. I cannot wait until they get into DC and really get to bring their ideas and their perspectives to the federal government and really be able to bring a change to Texas.
Yeah, I am such a big advocate for down ballot and local races. Of course, the president's important, your state, your federal senator, that's all important. But I think sometimes the down ballot folks don't always get the love that they need. But it's like your local races have such a big impact on your day-to-day life, whether it's your representative, your judicial candidate, your city council members, all the way up and down the ballot. And I know we've been preaching this all year that we are electing Democrats up and down the ballot. And it's true though, because we know that Democrats, no matter what office they're in, they're gonna fight for the community. They're gonna fight to make sure that everyone is seen, heard, and taken care of. And you're right, the fact that we have so many incredible Democratic candidates all the way down the ticket means that we are like actively creating this Texas that I think so many of us have been dreaming about and working for a very long time. And so today for me was less of, anxiety and more, it just feels like a celebration of all the hard work we've all been doing of, from folks doing literature drops, folks phone banking, text banking, all of us bullying our friends and family members to make sure that they have a plan, and just everyone working so tremendously hard to make sure that everyone who wants to vote, everyone who can vote is able to vote, and that they're able to vote for someone that they are proud of.
Yeah, absolutely. And I also think what's something I always like to reflect on these election days is the work we've done doesn't just end at today. Not only did we register so many voters in Texas, they're going to stay registered voters in Texas and they're going to stay Democratic voters. We're not only building for this campaign, but we've built such an amazing groundwork over the last couple of years with some amazing leaders that we really are not just having one election in Texas, but we're building a Texas election in the future. And we're going to be able to hold on to this amazing work that all these people have done and really capitalize on that, not only for general elections, but for midterms, for special elections in your local community. Like we have voters and they've now gone and voted. And I always say one of the hardest things is voting once. once you vote, you got to go back and get more. Like you cannot stop once you start voting. And Sarita, I really appreciate you talking about how you voted so many different places. Like sometimes it's obstacles getting your way between you and voting, but once you got to go back.
Yeah, no matter how, every state has a different vote by mail, has a different, all of those things. But you're right. The first time my first election was 2008. So it was Barack Obama. I went to school in California. I had left New Mexico, went to California, had already left Texas. And I was like, it was my first time away from home and I'm having to do my mail-in ballot. And I remember calling home and being like, okay, but how do I do this? What happens? And my mom and my grandma both were like, you have to make these choices on your own because you are deciding how you want your future to look. They were like, we can tell you who we're voting for, but that doesn't mean that you have to vote for them, which I've always appreciated that they were like, look, you figure out what's important to you, and then you find the people who align with that. And then that's how you vote. And, most of the time we are on the same page. I think maybe I might get a little more radical than them, but that's okay. I'm happy to carry that torch. But yeah, they really instilled from that very first election that you got to do your research and you got to figure out who your candidates are and what they stand for and how you feel about that. And it was so great having my Texas votes because I haven't been in Texas for quite some time. So I was like, some of these people who are incumbents, I don't know anything about them. I have not, and I've never lived in Austin. Like I said, I'm from Houston. So being able to go on my Texas votes, see my ballot, and then be able to learn more about each candidate was so incredibly helpful. And I think it was helpful with other people in my life because then they can be like, oh, you know anything about such and such? And I can be like, okay, yeah, I do actually.
No, absolutely. I feel like it's so nice to have those resources available. And it's so nice that Texas, we work for this amazing state party that is not only making those resources, but also we're making sure that people know about them. I think something really cool we did this year that we've never done before was the hotline. And it was just so convenient when I ran into somebody, whether it be a friend, my Uber drivers. I think I get a little annoying too many times about their voting. But it's nice giving people access to a phone line that can really answer any question. I also think it shows you what Texas has really done this electric. We had our phone line set up before the primary and people have been calling into it for months. We've been able to talk to voters on such a personal scale in multiple languages across the state. And I think it's just such a powerful tool to give voters to really make them feel comfortable, confident, and safe going to the polls. And that's so crucial, especially because we've seen voter suppression in Texas this year. It's not been a joke. It's not been subtle. And we've really had to come back as hard as we can. And it's because of our work as a party that we've been able to really be successful this electric. And I'm just so excited to see it all come together.
Yeah, you mentioned how folks are overcoming these obstacles. And I fully understand and respect how that can be really challenging for people. But I always want to remind folks that if someone is fighting this hard to silence you so that you can't have a voice, then your voice and your vote must really, really matter. Because that means that someone, instead of just maybe doing something better, instead of actually listening to the people in their community, they would rather choose some shadier ways. And so that tells me that our community members are so, so powerful. And again, those down ballot races are sometimes figured out between 100 voters, between some of the really local ones, a dozen or so voters. And so that's a really big deal. You literally could be choosing who this person is in this role. And I think that, folks have never taken that lightly, especially here in Texas. And this year, that's just been bigger than ever with everything that we've been dealing with as a state, with the pandemic, with getting through the runoffs, just everything that's been going on. And I think Texas voters are fired up in a way like never before, which is so exciting to see and be a part of. It definitely energizes me and keeps me going. and reminds me why we do this work.
No, absolutely. I think there's nothing more powerful than talking to like a first-time voter, no matter what their age is, talking to somebody who has been in Texas for so long and they haven't seen the ability for Texas to represent who they really are. And these people are really getting voices, and they really are fighting the fight that is so important to get people to represent the people of Texas. And I just have been so overwhelmed by the amount of stories that I've seen and the amount of work that I've seen done around me. I think you and me really had a good chance too, because we've been working for the last couple of months now here in Texas, and we saw the team, we saw the Texas Democrats, we saw the volunteers, the community be able to adapt to one of the hardest things ever thrown to any campaign, which is a global pandemic. And the amount of work that we did while we all were in our respective spaces was truly powerful and truly showed what adaptations the Texas Democrats are really able to do in order to see the future that we want to see. And it's just been so cool this whole time.
Yeah, you mentioned about how we've probably gotten a unique experience getting to speak and meet with so many of our candidates and elected officials. I know we've been talking a lot, so I wanted to ask you a question, a fun question.
Okay.
If you could go to lunch with any of the folks that you've interviewed or not,
Hey, everybody. I know that the night is early and we're still awaiting a lot of results here in Texas and across the country. What we can say tonight so far that across the country, voters have spoken loudly and clearly for change. The numbers that we see coming out of a number of states are very positive for Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. People clearly showed up at early voting and election day, and they want change. And that's nowhere more true than Texas. Let's take a walk down memory lane for a second to 2016, when Hillary Clinton came within 9 points of Donald Trump, to just 2 years ago when Congressman O'Rourke came within 2.6 points of Senator Ted Cruz, and then to tonight, where the last thing I saw was that with 64% of the vote in, Joe Biden is up 51 to 47. Now, we don't know what's going to happen here in Texas. Results are still coming in from many counties across the state. But what we can say is that Texas is a legitimate swing state. I believe that Joe Biden can win it when all the ballots are counted. The fact is, win or lose, Texas is now the biggest swing state in the nation. It will be going forward. This is validation of the hard work and the organizing of so many people who for years have been out there in neighborhoods across this state, in communities big and small. The Democratic Party of many counties across Texas, I want to commend them for all of their work. I was out today in my hometown of San Antonio here in Bexar County. What I saw in the neighborhoods of the west side and the south side of the city is tremendous enthusiasm for Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. And I'm confident that going forward, we're going to be able to build on this momentum. What we're watching is the transformation of Texas to a Democratic state. And I look forward to the rest of tonight's results. I commend so many of the folks who are doing well right now in congressional races, including in my own backyard, Gina Ortiz-Jones. And I look forward to hopefully their victory, hers and others, in the hours to come.
Thank you, Secretary Castro. We thank you for joining us, and I'm sure we'll see you later.
Well,
when you elect Democrats. And again, we would be here in this transformation if it wasn't for the Texas Democratic Party and everybody that has just worked so hard. So I just want to say thank you. I think the U.S. House is projected to, of course, stay under Speaker Pelosi. I'm hoping that we get Gina Ortiz and so many other members, Democrats, new members, so we can get back the majority of the Texas delegation as Democrats. We have a chance, and we are going to do it here in Texas. Again, we're the Big Tent party, and I just want to say to all of y'all, thank you so much for all the work. We still got a little bit more numbers to count here, but it's looking good. And again, thank you so much, and God bless all of y'all.
Yes, thank you. Congressman Cuellar, so if anyone has any questions for Congressman Cuellar, please type them into the question box and he'll answer them on a first come, first served basis.
Thank you. It's, if I could just say this as
all right, Congressman Cuellar, thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
excited to be here. So excited to hear from all of the incredible guests that have been stopping by and talking about our love for Texas and the importance of this election. I think for this little segment, we were just before we were talking about who we'd want to go to lunch with. James, you said Wendy Davis, correct?
That is correct. She's my representative. I really love the work she's done. Her story is so powerful if you guys don't know much about it. And I also just really want to be best friends with Wendy Davis. I think that'd be just overall a good thing for people to have, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it only improves your life. My pick, I think, would be Representative Sinfronia Thompson. I've gotten to interview her a couple times and it's always a blast. She's so much fun and she has so many incredible stories about her time in the legislature. And it's just I just want to hear all of them. I'm available for lunch, dinner, whatever. I can make myself available. Also, she always has on fantastic outfits. And I'm please take me shopping, take me with you. I need to find them. I want them all. So I think she would probably be my pick.
She sounds like not only an incredible person to learn about leaderships, but she also can teach us a lot of life skills and really to be able to own a room. You know, nobody walks in and doesn't notice them and be oh, they're about to really run this room right now.
Yeah, 1000%. Let's do a game.
All right, so I have a little bit of a game right now, and it's going to really test your. So we're in a race right now. We're also in Texas, so I combined the two things. So I did. You're going to guess if something is a barbecue sauce or a horse that ran in the Kentucky Derby.
Oh my God, I'm so excited. Okay.
Okay, your first one is called 36 Red.
Barbecue sauce.
That is actually a horse.
Oh, okay. It's all right. I have time to come back.
All right. Your next one is red, white, and blue.
That's got to be a sauce.
You're correct. All right. Congrats.
All right. Feeling good?
All right. Your next question is Day of the Dead. Barbecue sauce or horse?
Oh, what a horse.
No, that's a barbecue sauce.
Okay. These horses are really throwing me off.
All right, barbecue sauce or horse?
Okay.
American Eagle.
A store that I went to a lot in my youth that always smelled like too much cologne. Let's see, American Eagle, that's a horse.
You are correct. And it also is a store that smells like way too much cologne that we all went to for a little bit too long, you know?
Abercrombie, I think we grew out of first, and American Eagle, we just held on to a little bit longer.
They had those polos that I definitely wore just one or two too many years.
Yes. Did you ever layer your polos so you could have multiple collars?
Okay, I was not part of Team Pop Collar.
Oh, how controversial.
I don't think I was quite cool enough to really pull it off.
I definitely was not.
Okay, next one. Barbecue sauce or horse? Sticky fingers.
Barbecue sauce.
That's correct.
Okay, all right.
All right, barbecue sauce or horse? Die Hard.
Ooh, horse.
You are really getting it. That is a horse.
All right. We're in business, baby. This is the Texas story, right? It's a little dicey, and then we're gonna come in hot.
Exactly. It's all coming together. It's all coming together. All right. Barbecue sauce or horse? West by West.
Horse.
You are nailing it. Another correct.
Yes, this is truly doing a lot for my ego also.
That's what I'm here for, sir. That's what I'm all about right now.
Thank you. Let's just hold each other up.
Okay. Barbecue sauce or horse? Impeachment.
Oh, I'm gonna go with the barbecue sauce.
No, that was a horse.
Okay.
All right.
Just like the real impeachment.
That's true. That's true. All right, this is your last one, so it's for all the marbles.
Okay.
Barbecue sauce or horse? Up in smoke.
Barbecue sauce.
You have done it. Congratulations.
Yes. Excellent. I would like to continue this success. Texas, everyone, you listening? We are winning tonight.
Absolutely.
I am ready.
Yeah, just roll with this wind, and we're going to bring it all the way through Texas, all the way from East Texas to El Paso, from the Valley all the way up to Lubbock, and we're just going to turn Texas blue tonight.
We're doing it just like barbecue sauce or horse. Some of those were very tricky, I have to say.
You would not think there's such an intersection between barbecue sauces and horses. And all these horses have ran in the Kentucky Derby. They're not just, not the one horses. Exactly. They've worked hard to get to where they were. So
top tier horse and probably top tier barbecue sauce.
I will say, I do love that about living in Texas. The food, I know we brought this up before, but I just can't stop talking about it. It's so good here. And I love all of the variety we have. I always find something I need. It's always so delicious. Living in Austin is cool. We got a lot of food trucks and stuff. And so.
Yes. When the pandemic first started, my husband and I, once a week, we were like, okay, we're going to order out and get takeout so we can support a local business, get to know the area around us, whatever. And once a week really kept increasing because there are just so many good options. And we'd be like, well, we're helping a small business, so this is for the better good.
No kidding. It was look, I'm just trying to help the economy by ordering food and not cooking. And I found this amazing grilled cheese delivery, all female Black owned grilled cheese local delivery. And I was like, look, I it's so good. And I'm just trying to help a small business. I need
this in my life. Grilled cheese delivered, it just comes to me. That's the dream.
And the amount of different breads you can combine with the grilled cheese.
Yes.
Just unreal.
I truly am a big grilled cheese fan, so much so that I'd go out with my friends and everyone would be like, okay, we're gonna order drinks. I'd be like, look, before I want something to drink, I need a snack and I want a grilled cheese. I would like a grilled cheese and garlic fries at all times, please.
No, I also love grilled cheese because you can start making it. You could need so little supplies to make a grilled cheese, but then you can also do the most supplies in a grilled cheese. I really at one point got, I think, a little too obsessed with creating my perfect grilled cheese. And I was cutting up so many vegetables just to also cook them. And I put them in between my grilled cheese. I don't know what happened during that time, but it was a highlight of the life.
I want to know what was in this grilled cheese.
Okay, so you're gonna start with 2 slices of grilled cheese. You also want to make sure you have your shredded cheese. Preferably I get the HEB Mexican shred combined. Mm-hmm. And then you can put jalapenos in there. You can put onions in there. You can put tomatoes. And then I think a key is adding bacon. And you want to make sure they're kind of cooked before you combine it all. And then you got to find the perfect pan, your grilled cheese pan, that melts the cheese at a perfect rate to have you flip over and have amazing. And you got to cut it. You can't just eat.
You got it. Because then you need the cheese to really do the stretchy cheese thing that we all know and love.
No, it's a must, especially if you're trying to impress somebody. You got to do that.
Absolutely, always, all the time. Just trying to win over favor. Speaking of cooking, I don't know about you, but especially in the beginning of quarantine, I fell victim to the sourdough craze. And I went to Easy Tiger and I got the sourdough starter and really invested in it to the point that almost every week I was baking something out of sourdough. And my husband was like, there are two of us, two people cannot eat. And I was like, sir, please don't put limits on my joy. But I was like baking sweet things and breads and pastas and like all kinds of stuff. And then finally,
Okay. Are you ready to go?
Yeah.
Okay. Then we'll be live in 3, 2.
Hello, y'all.
Castro.
Yeah. All right, y'all. I see that, to be honest with you, people didn't tell me the format of this thing. And since nobody's asking me questions, I'm just going to kind of give you my take on the race and where we are. First, it's remarkable that a Democratic presidential candidate is this close in Texas, this late into the evening. To think about how incredible it is that since 2014, when our statewide candidates lost by 20 points, that we have Joe Biden within a few points of Donald Trump right now is just incredible. And I think what it's ushered in is a new era in Texas politics of true competitiveness between the two political parties. You all know that for the longest time, Texas was part of a solid Democratic South. And then for a generation really has been mostly Republican, solidly Republican. But I think this election affirms the 2018 election, and it really is a new era in Texas politics.
Congressman Castro, can you say that in Spanish too? We're going to go straight to questions and answers here.
All right.
So if you have any questions for Congressman Castro, please type it into the message box and he will get to them on a first come, first served basis. Okay, first question is the Latino vote appears to be a little bit tighter than it was in 2016. Why do you think that is?
Well, in some areas, you're right, it is tighter. In other areas, it appears that Joe Biden has held or even done a little bit better. And so I really need to see the complete results to give you a kind of a full answer about that. But look, I've said this from the beginning. The key to success with the Hispanic community in Texas is engagement and very early on, and making sure that we get to folks who have not participated in the political process before. And that remains true. That continues to be a challenge that we've got to make sure that we meet.
Great. And the next question here is, do you still see a path for Biden to flip Texas tonight?
Yeah, I think it's still possible. It's obviously, look, we always knew that it was going to be tough.
but I still see a path. We're still waiting on the results for a lot of different counties, and I think that Joe Biden may have shrunk the Republican margin in some of those rural areas, and of course the suburban areas. So yeah, I think there's still a shot.
For any questions for Congressman Castro, please type it in the question box and you'll get to them on a first come, first served basis. All right, Congressman Castro, thank you very much for joining us today.
Thank you all.
Hey folks, welcome back. We don't worry, we figured out our muffins, our bread, all of that. I hope everyone has a carb that they love for tonight. You know, like athletes, we're carbo loading for an evening of wins up and down the ballot.
Absolutely. You know, you got to make sure you're well fed, you're giving your body what it needs, and you're ready to take on the night. But speaking of, I do have another game. You did so well with our barbecue horse game. This one is kind of a Texas focused as well. And I'm going to give you two options and you got to pick one. So it's called this or that.
Okay, I'm ready.
Okay, your first two options. Would you rather drive on a pothole-ridden road with minimal traffic or drive on a smooth paved road with a bunch of traffic?
I mean, the I-35 can offer you both, but I think honestly, I want the smooth road with traffic. I can put on a podcast, I'll be fine.
I agree. Dodging the potholes, it's too much.
Yeah. My car would appreciate it.
Next question. Would you rather wait in line at a great barbecue spot for hours and still eat everything you wanted, or eat immediately and have great barbecue spot but without any brisket?
Okay, this is going to be controversial. I am not, brisket's not my number one. And I know that is very not true for a lot of people close to me, in fact. So I'm willing to eat quickly and not have brisket because I'm here for the chicken covered in sauce and turkey. I'm a bird girl. I'm not a huge fan of birds, but I like to eat chicken and turkey. But I think some people might fight me on that one.
Yeah, I'm glad we know this because I will now bring you to tacos and not barbecue.
That's really fair.
Okay, next question. Would you rather drive to work in a blinding rainstorm or get stuck in traffic for an hour in beautiful weather?
Again, okay, where is this rainstorm actually? That's going to be the choice.
We'll put it in the Houston town.
Okay. If we're in the Houston area, honestly, I can handle it. I'll be fine because everyone in Houston knows how to drive in rain because we're so used to it. Sometimes we're a little too confident, but at the end of the day, we're like, I will get to where I'm going. Rain almost anywhere else, I would not have made that choice.
All right, fair enough. I mean, you know the town you're from, and it does rain all the time.
Yeah. You just kind of get used to it.
I cannot believe we built a huge city on top of literally where it just floods nonstop.
All day, every day. Everyone's got waterfront property.
That was a good one.
Thank you.
Okay, next question.
All right.
Would you rather have your car AC go out for a week in July or your car heater go out for a month in January?
Month in January. I can just put on jackets, hands down. I cannot handle being too hot, despite the fact that I've always lived in warm places. And I actually, my dream vacation is being somewhere really sunny. There's water. It's 90, 95 degrees, but I am in air conditioning. I can look at it, I can see it, but I can still have AC.
Fair enough. I would say my perfect weather is when it's the perfect day on the beach. So 80, nice temperature, but it's the middle of the night. So Texas summers when it doesn't cool off at all. Because I'm a little pale skinned and I get sunburned really easily. And so if I can get this perfect beach weather and not worry about the sun, it's ideal to me.
A dream. Yeah, I get that.
Okay. Would you rather get one at the bat at an Astros game or play one snap at a Texans game?
Ooh, that's hard. Well, it's hard not to think about what would I be better at. But I'm gonna go with Astros. I've been going to those games since I was little. So nostalgia.
I don't think there could be a more proud moment of my dad hitting a Rangers bat, but I would miss for sure. So I feel I have to go with the easier, getting the ball snapped.
Yeah. I mean, can I do T-ball? Is that an option?
Sure. Yeah, go.
Thank you.
Okay. Would you rather give up Tex-Mex for a year or give up barbecue for a year?
Tex-Mex.
Interesting.
I know I'm not eating brisket, but I also love side dishes. Like give me some mac and cheese, some potato salad, some beans. Like I'm here for the everything. Tex-Mex, I like it, but if I lost it for a year, I'd be okay.
I could eat coleslaw like every single meal.
Yeah, like just bring it on over.
Okay. Would you rather drive across Texas in August with a broken air conditioning or be mauled by a pack of rabid badgers?
It says something that these are equal. But I think I'd rather do the drive. I could roll the window down, get a fan.
Get one of those like little personal fans that you like, necklace thing.
Yeah, like squirt some water in my face so it's like a cool mist. Like when you go to Astroworld and you like walk through the mist tunnels.
Let me know how that goes. I do not plan on joining you for that.
That's fair.
Okay. Would you rather fight the crowds at Buc-ee's to use the fabulous restrooms or use a restroom at a tech stop rest stop?
Oh. I mean, obviously I want the nice bathroom, but I have done many road trips in this state. So I think I have learned how to just make it work. And I'm impatient. So I guess that's my choice.
Fair enough. Fair enough. All right, your last question.
Okay, I'm ready.
Would you rather spend your Texas vacation traveling for hours to South Padre or spend those hours with a little extra time in Galveston?
Galveston. Don't even have to think about it.
Could you go into that?
Absolutely. I mean, I grew up going to Galveston. Like that was like the vacation spot. So it just like, it's comfortable and it feels like home. But also Galveston, like you can do like a bougie vacation for like a reasonable price in Galveston. Like, and so you can really like treat yourself, get like a nice Airbnb or a hotel and like, stay for a few days. The beach is still there and it's gorgeous. Like you get some good food. Like I'm just gonna eat seafood all weekend. And then just like, if I'm in Houston, right, just pop back home. Like it's such a short little thing. Like South Padre is like such a effort. Like it's like, I'm gonna have to work hard.
Now, South Padre is definitely not like a quick little trip. You really gotta plan it out. You gotta make it worth it. You gotta bring a cooler. Yeah, it's a whole 9 yards.
Yeah. Whereas like Galveston, like you can just go for like a night, like you can do like a bougie vacation for like a reasonable price and still feel like you treated yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I think you did fantastic on my quiz. There's only really winners here because you got to pick all your own answers, but I will stick to, we will be going to taco places and not barbecue places unless you give up Tex-Mex for the year and then go to the non-brisket.
Look, I'm not going to stop anyone from brisket. I just am willing to give it up if I can get my food faster.
Absolutely. Well, Sarita, I have had such a good time talking to you on this such special day. I'm so glad we got to know each other for the last however many months. You've done such amazing work for the party, and I'm just so honored to have done it with you. And from all of us, this is my sign off. I'm James. Follow me on Instagram, Murph_dog23, and we'll see you next time.
Yeah, thank you. This has been so much fun. And again, everyone, make sure you're taking care of yourself. And thanks for all the hard work that everyone has done. James, it's been amazing. Same, you can follow me on Instagram or Twitter at Sarita Fonta, and we'll see you at the next one.
Good evening. I'm Chris Turner, State Representative in House District 101 in Tarrant County, and also have the privilege of serving as chairman of the Texas House Democratic Caucus. And polls have been closed now in most of the state for right at 2 hours. And you know, we've seen the early vote in most of the large counties around the state already. We have not seen much election day vote so far that I've seen anyway. In fact, in Tarrant County, where I am, they just released the very first batch of election day returns. So all I say, I think it's going to be a long night. There's a lot of votes still to count. And I think that there's going to be a lot of races that we won't know the final outcome on until much later this evening. So I think everyone has to be patient, and we have to look and see how the results come out as they come in later on tonight. But I will say that as chair of the caucus, I'm very pleased to see that with the exception of one incumbent, all of our incumbents are leading so far this evening, and the one incumbent who's not ahead is in a very, very close race, so could easily come back. So we're very pleased with how all of our incumbent Democratic House members are doing so far tonight. We're optimistic that they'll be reelected, and we're optimistic that we will grow our numbers in the Texas House before the night is over, or before this election is finalized. And obviously, we're all looking at the presidential race. It's great to see it so close in Texas. We knew it was going to be close, and you know, I think it's just a reflection of the tremendous support that Joe Biden and Kamala Harris have out there, and the dissatisfaction with President Trump. And we eagerly await for the results from around the country to come in, and hopefully by tomorrow morning we'll see the end of the Trump presidency. Because I know that's what everyone is continuing to be focused on. So I'll pause there, and I'll be happy to answer any questions if there are any.
Okay, first question is, Republicans are up in the early vote in some crucial races. Is there still a path for Democrats to take the Texas House?
Yeah, I think that there is. I think clearly, you know, the Republicans are ahead in some races that were certainly competitive and targeted by both parties. So, you know, I think that there still is a path, as I say, because there's a lot of election day votes left to count. But do we wish we were better positioned in some of these races right now? Yeah, sure, absolutely. But nonetheless, we're pleased that our incumbents are seemingly in a very good position at this point in the evening anyway.
Next question is, are there any races so far that have surprised you?
That have surprised me. You know, I don't think so. I think that we knew all these races were going to be close. I think that they are, in fact, close. And so in some cases, you have Democrats slightly ahead. In some cases, you have Republicans slightly ahead. We all knew these are very competitive districts, and we're going to have some close election results. And I think that's what we're seeing around the state right now, especially as it relates to state house districts. So I haven't seen anything that I would say surprises me yet. But the night is young, as we say.
Any other questions, please type them into the question box. We'll get to the questions on a first come, first served basis. Okay, the Tarrant County numbers were particularly surprising for Democrats. What's your take on that?
Yeah, well, these are tough districts in Tarrant County. You know, as I think everyone knows, you know, Republicans gerrymandered the House map very effectively when they drew it, and no place is that more evident than in Tarrant County. And so you see that in the competitive House districts in Tarrant County, we've had Democratic candidates run great campaigns. They're, you know, within striking distance, but as you say, they all are behind right now. I think it's a reflection of the Republican gerrymander that continues to dilute the voices of Tarrant County residents. And I think that's what we're seeing there. But that said, we have a number of races that are close. and we'll see once the election day results are counted how those totals change. But that's what I attribute that to.
All right, for any other questions, please type them in the question box right now, and we'll get to them on a first come, first served basis. All right. Chairman Turner, thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Avi, and apologize for being a few minutes late. Couldn't get off the phone.
Hi, I'm Mark Vesey, Congressman for the 33rd Congressional District here in Fort Worth and Dallas, and happy to be with you tonight. And really just want to take the time now to give a shout out to everybody that's at TDP. I think that this cycle, the TDP has done just a great job of getting us connected as much as we possibly could with our constituency, with our base. And it's just been amazing when you think about some of the meetings that we've had, and we have to do them over Zoom, of course, when we're used to doing things in person. We're used to having our convention in person. But TDP staff did a wonderful job of making sure that we were all communicating with one another, and it really allowed us to be able to communicate, I think, in some ways even more effectively with our constituencies and based on what was happening in Austin as we looked to really make historic gains tonight, and just appreciate all TDP's efforts on state house races, the congressional races, our statewide efforts. We're doing better and better each cycle, and it is really because of a lot of the hard work that TDP has done, and our volunteers. We have just amazing volunteers that are growing by the cycle. We have added so many new people in this state, probably over 3.5 million people once the census numbers are going to be finalized for the 2020 census, and they're going to join our Democratic family as the years go on, and really not even the years, as the months and the weeks go on, as the state is rapidly growing. So I just again just want to thank our chairman, Chair Hinojosa, TDP staff, and just everybody that really worked so hard this cycle. And it's still early, obviously. It's only 9 o'clock right now, so we need to continue to watch to see how some of these races are going to turn out. But I just want to thank TDP for just everything that they have done this cycle. I think that it's been absolutely wonderful, all the work that you're doing down there.
Okay, we're now going to do some question and answers. For any questions for Congressman Vesey, please type them into the question box. We'll get to them on a first come, first served basis. Okay, first question. Candace Valenzuela is locked in a pretty tight race right now. Do you think she's going to be able to pull it out?
Yeah, I think that she'll be able to pull it out. We always knew that one was going to be tight. I mean, it was obviously like Chris Turner was saying earlier, that represents Tarrant County in the state legislature before me, that was always going to be a very tight suburban district. We knew that it was going to be tight, but still feel good about Candace and her prospects. And so we will see what happens. But I'm excited about that, and just want to thank Candace for all the hard work that she put in. She put in an amazing amount of work in all of those cities in that district, in Capel, in Carrollton, in Colleyville, Southlake. She really communicated well with all of the voters in that district. And in addition to that, the district is obviously changing a lot. Irving, the North Irving area around MacArthur Boulevard has the most diverse zip code in the entire country there. And so we knew that district was definitely moving in the right direction, but we also knew it was going to be tight. So I congratulate Candace on running a tremendous race. She just really showed us, how to do it, and again ran a great race while we were under COVID-19, which was really a challenge for everybody.
Next question is, how many seats do you think we're going to be able to gain?
I don't want to predict how many seats that we'll be able to gain. It's still early, so we need to, wait and see what ends up happening for the rest of this evening. I am, very, again, hopeful. But again, it's early. And again, remember, we had some great gains in 2018, obviously. But again, it's still early. We need to wait and see, because we always knew that this next layer of seats that we needed to pick up in Congress were going to be tougher than the two that we picked up in 2018. And so we just need to just continue to watch the votes come in for the rest of the evening. My guess is that with some of the delays that we saw around the state in many counties, I know in my county of Tarrant County, which again includes Congressional District 24, that they were actually looking for Democratic and Republican volunteers to count ballots because there was a issue with some of the ballots being scanned. And so they're still actually waiting for some key results to come in there. So we just have to wait and see. It's still very, very early. So I don't want to predict what the final number is going to be.
And for any other questions for Congressman VC, please type them into the question box. We'll get to them on a first come, first served basis. All right, Congressman VC, thank you very much for joining us.
Hey, thanks, guys. And again, thank you for all of your hard work down in Austin. Y'all did a great job this cycle. Thank you.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Rick Levy. I'm president of the Texas AFL-CIO. We're the statewide labor federation that we have about 240,000 members around the state. With me tonight is Secretary Treasurer Montserrat Garibay. Wave, Montse, so they know who you are. And Ed Sills is our communications director. Thank you all for giving us an opportunity to be part of this. We're really proud of the effort that labor in particular put out in this last election cycle. We've been under pretty serious attack from the powers that be in Texas as a movement. And I think it really galvanized our members and our affiliates to be very engaged in politics this time. It was really hard. What we specialize in is knocking on doors and talking to people. And when we couldn't do that, we had to pivot to running a campaign that was text-based, that was phone-based, that was talking to people in the workplace. But we still ran the biggest program that Texas labor has ever run. We did it in two different ways. We had a special PAC called the Fair Shot Texas PAC, where it was solely funded by labor, voluntary labor contributions, where we raised over $1 million and we're active across the state in trying to support labor endorsed candidates. And we also had our member-to-member program where we had about 60 full-time people working, talking to members across the state, talking to our members about what they cared about. And the thing that we did in politics that's different than perhaps we've done it in the past is that we've started this, is that we start with what people care about. We start with the issues that people are interested in. We start with what's happening in people's lives and we talk to them. And, we're very upfront that, that we're going to support the candidates that support us. And that's, and if they don't support us, then we're not going to support them, regardless of whether they're a D or an R or whatever. And so this cycle, it looks like, it's still a little bit early. It looks like we're going to have some wins. Looks like we're going to have some losses. The nature of the wins is going to be, will be clear as we move through the evening. But I'm just really proud of the candidates that we supported. And I think one other issue that I'd like to point about that is that so many candidates ran on issues that are kind of bread and butter core issues for working people. What we were talking about was a fair shot for every Texan to succeed. And that's what candidates were running on. We were running on expanding healthcare. We were running on public education. We were running on job training for folks that don't go to college. We were running for fair treatment of immigrant workers. We saw candidates take that message into their communities and understand that the way we win in Texas is not to say, well, we're just like the Republicans, only a little less bad, but to really present an alternative vision of what this state could be if we focused on the needs of workers. And we're really, really heartened by the fact that so many of the candidates took that message to heart. So, like I say, we'll see what happens the rest of the night. But right now we're watching it pretty closely and we'll see where we get. So I'm happy to answer any questions as we move through. I guess one little piece I want to talk to you. I don't know how the time is, Brittany. Do we have like one more second?
Oh no, y'all can feel free to.
We can wrap on. Okay, Montse, tell them about the program that we did that was about, with the citizenship program and turning out new citizens to vote.
Yes, so we have our citizenship program where we're helping eligible permanent residents apply to become U.S. citizens. And we started this program 2 years ago, and we have been focusing on 8 cities. And we have helped over 1,000 members and family members to become U.S. citizens. So we have been able to see the transformation that this has done to their personally, because they have been able to, many of them became citizens and they are voting for the very first time. And for them to be able to, in some cases, even volunteer in their campaigns and truly be civic participants has been very transformative for their lives. And we are just starting this program 2 years, but we're hoping to keep growing this program as big as possible. And this is something that it's a core issue for us to be able to have our members become U.S. citizens, but also to participate in our civic civic participation is really important. So we're also available if you want what Rick said in Spanish. I'm available to say it in Spanish as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Happy to answer any questions or
Questions
thoughts.
for.
Oh, sorry, Abby. Trying to do your job. My bad.
For any questions, please type into the question box right now. We'll get to them on a first come, first served basis. Okay, first one is, could Biden have done better if he had tried harder in Texas, or was it somehow better for him to stay away?
I don't think it was better for him to stay away. I think that what we've seen is that, he ran a campaign that really resonated with our members, that was very worker-based. He was not afraid to say the word union and understood that the building a better economy involves stronger unions. We would have liked to have seen much more investment in Texas. We've been agitating among unions around the country that Texas is a land of opportunity, that the more investment, the better off we would be. And yeah, we would have loved, we think there was a lot more investment this time than there was last time, but we would have liked to see him be here more. But, we were excited when Kamala Harris was here. We were excited when Tom Perez were here. We understand there's other states that they have to compete into, but I don't think the calculation of staying away had anything to do with the fact that he might be a liability. I think he would be. In fact, he very well may still win this state.
Next question is a statement in Spanish from Montserrat.
Yep.
About the results and about everything.
You want a statement in Spanish? Ajá. Pues estamos muy entusiasmados por el trabajo que los trabajadores hicieron para salir a votar. Sabemos nosotros que cuando nuestros miembros salen a votar es porque les interesa tener mejores escuelas públicas, tener seguro médico, tener un mejor clima, a medio ambiente, y al final del día nuestros miembros salen a votar no porque sean republicanos o demócratas, ellos salen a votar porque ellos quieren tener una vida mejor en los Estados Unidos, en Texas, y ellos saben que el trabajo que ellos hacen todos los días es importante en nuestras comunidades, pero también ellos están saliendo porque quieren demandar que se les trate mejor, que se les pague mejores sueldos, y el ser participantes en la democracia para nuestros miembros es muy importante, y algo que hicimos en nuestros diferentes programas para que la gente saliera a votar es organizarnos, y estamos muy contentos con esto, pero sabemos que esto es el principio y que vamos a seguir organizándonos para seguir estando en la mesa de las decisiones, y cuando nuestros miembros están en la mesa de las decisiones, nosotros podemos tener mejores oportunidades para las personas trabajadoras.
All right. Thank you all for joining us. We are looking forward to seeing the rest of the results tonight. Thank you.
Thank you so very much. It's so good to be with Democrats. You see, I have the Biden-Harris on. I'm going to take it off so you might be able to hear me just a little bit better. First thing that I want to do is thank all of you who worked without ceasing in so many different campaigns to make a difference, not only in this state, but in the lives of Americans. We knew that this was a life or death election. It was our lives. It was the death of so many who had died from COVID-19, so many mourning families. But Democrats in Texas never gave up. Voter suppression came up against Texas Democrats, and Texas Democrats won. One voter suppression act after another, starting with Governor Abbott's ridiculous ruling to eliminate in Harris County the right to drop your mail ballot at a number of legal clerk offices throughout our community. And then continuously chipping away at voters' rights to vote. And finally, the real acts that my opponent, I can say his name, Wendell Champion, was a petitioner along with other Republican alleged activists to basically snatch justice and the right to vote out of the jaws of victory by challenging the drive-through voting legitimately based on election law, the fact that there was a fixed structure, but they had the audacity to be so uncaring that they wanted to eliminate 127,000 votes and to eliminate the option for people who are COVID-19 susceptible, various people with underlying conditions, pregnant women, elderly people, from having access to drive-through voting. I make that point because it was not easy for us to get where we are today. Our numbers are up. We're still in the mix. Who knows what is going to happen for Texas at the end of the night? But one thing we've shown the nation is that we are not defeated, that we are strong, and we are true blue Democrats. And we should never shy away from talking about Texas and the great state that we are and the great Democrats that we are. This is a night for celebration. We're bringing home many of our candidates, but I will say that our task is before us. We're still waiting to take the United States Senate. I am praying that we can get one more seat. We look like we have 3, and the House. And then we're on the precipice of electing a new president of the United States and vice president who will heal and unify this nation. Democrats in Texas, you have a very large part of this commitment and this opportunity, a huge part. And I cannot be more grateful than to be able to say that I am truly a Texas Democrat, like you, ready to serve, ready to fight for justice. We were traveling with the George Floyd family throughout many polls. They have been a beacon of hope, calm, mourning, but still standing with Democrats. And what they said, justice was on the ballot. Climate change was on the ballot. Education was on the ballot. Healthcare was on the ballot. And all of those things required the great work of Texas Democrats. So let me just say this. The other night at the University of Houston, when our great vice presidential nominee, prayerfully the next vice president of the United States, a woman of color, I said, we dare to dream. The song, The Impossible Dream, must be the new theme of Texas Democrats. We dare to dream. We dare to believe in the impossible dream. And we did not take that impossible dream as impossible, as a mountain we could not climb. Today, as the numbers are coming in, I can't not be more prouder of all of you from all of our communities, Latinx, African Americans, Anglo, Southeast Asians, and all religions, people who stood up and ran to the polls, and all of those wonderful first-time voters. I shook their hands, I bumped their elbows, really. I did all of that to tell them how happy we were for them. So Texas Democrats, voter suppression came up against the mighty Texas Democrats, and with justice in our hands, we won. And yes, we dared to dream the impossible dream. And when we dared to dream the impossible dream, we're on the road to turning Texas blue. I'm hoping and praying that will be the night's victory, that you dared to dream the impossible dream. God bless all of you, Texas Democrats. We are ready to fight and we're ready to win. Thank you all very much. Thank you for having me.